Why the founder of KFC sued KFC. Imagine building a business from scratch, pouring your heart and soul into it, turning it into a global empire, only to watch it betray you. Colonel Harland Sanders, the founder of KFC, whose face is on KFC's logo, began his journey by cooking chicken at a gas station, until the time he had to sue the very company he created. But how did that happen? In this video, let's find out. Born in 1890, Sanders lost his father at age 5. His mother was forced to work long hours, leaving Sanders to take care of his younger siblings. This is where his cooking journey began. By the age of 7, he was already experimenting in the kitchen, learning how to make delicious meals for his family. But life didn't get any easier. At 10 years old, he was fired from his first job for spending too much time with farm animals instead of working. His mother was furious, telling him he was no good and that she could never rely on him. That moment hit Sanders hard. He vowed to prove her wrong, but fate had other plans. At 12 years old, his mother remarried a violent man who made Sanders' life unbearable. So at just 13 years old, he ran away from home, alone, with no money, no education, and no plan. Over the years, Sanders hopped from one job to another. He worked as a farmhand, a soldier, a streetcar conductor, an insurance salesman, a steamboat operator, and even a midwife. But none of them worked out. He even tried becoming a lawyer, but that dream ended in a bar fight with his own client. By the time he reached his 40s, Sanders had failed more times than most people do in a lifetime. His wife left him, his business ventures collapsed, and he was left with nothing. But this is where the story really begins. Desperate for a fresh start, Sanders moved to Kentucky and started running a gas station. To make extra money, he began cooking meals in a tiny back room, serving travelers and truckers. At first, fried chicken wasn't even on the menu because it took too long to cook. But when Sanders discovered that he could pressure cook chicken in just 8 minutes and still keep it juicy and flavorful, everything changed. He perfected a secret blend of 11 herbs and spices, and before long his chicken was famous. Sanders was a marketing genius, painting advertisements on barn doors to attract customers. But not everyone was happy about his success. A rival businessman named Matt Stewart was so angry about Sanders' advertising that he painted over his signs. Sanders warned him to stop, but Stewart didn't listen. One day, Sanders and 2 associates confronted Stewart, but Stewart pulled out a gun and fired first. He missed Sanders, but killed one of his men. In the chaos, Sanders returned fire, hitting Stewart in the shoulder. The fight landed Stewart in prison, and with his biggest competitor gone, Sanders' chicken business exploded. He was even given the honorary title of Colonel by the governor of Kentucky. From that day forward, he was Colonel Sanders. It took him 40 years, but he had finally found success. By the 1950s, Colonel Sanders was 65 years old. Most people would have retired, but instead he started a new business model, franchising. He packed his pressure cookers and seasoning into his car and traveled across America, convincing restaurant owners to sell his chicken for a 4-cent royalty per piece. It wasn't easy. He was rejected over 1,000 times before his first deal, but he never gave up. His first franchise in Utah was a massive success. Soon, people were begging to sell his chicken. By 1963, KFC had over 600 locations. Then, in 1964, a 29-year-old businessman named John Brown came to Sanders with an offer to buy KFC for $2 million. At first, Sanders refused because he saw KFC as his baby. But Brown promised he would never change the recipe and that Sanders could remain the face of the brand. So, at 73 years old, Sanders finally sold KFC. He was officially a millionaire. But everything changed when Brown sold KFC to a corporate food conglomerate in 1971. That's when the betrayal began. The new owners didn't care about quality. They cheapened the ingredients, changed the famous gravy recipe, and prioritized speed over taste. When Sanders tasted the new gravy, he was horrified. He publicly trashed KFC's food, calling the chicken a damn fried dough ball stuck on some chicken. KFC sued their own founder for defamation, but Sanders fought back, filing his own $122 million lawsuit against KFC for using his image on products he didn't approve of. The case eventually settled, with Sanders receiving $1 million and renaming his own competing restaurant to Claudia Sanders Dinner House, which still exists today. Here's a quick question. Isn't it ironic that KFC still uses Colonel Sanders' face as the logo, but this very man was betrayed by his own company?